Hey, you're listening to Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. I'm Mike Mylan. That is Blaine Birch. And today is super, super special for three reasons. I'm going to give you three, right? Three reasons. The first, this is episode number 50, right? Episode number 50, which means we've made it this far. I think if they say if you make it past 42, you'll make it forever, right?
There we go. We'll take it.
But then here's the second thing that's super impressive. We made a promise that on the 50th episode, we were going to wear merch, right? Remember, we keep telling you on mikeandblaine.com, we were going to wear merch from our stuff. Blaine is sporting our classic logo. Nobody told me with the beer steins. It's business, beer, and bullshit. That's what it is. And he's sporting the classic. I went a little bit more outside the box, right? One of my favorite pictures in the world is of me and Blaine, right? So, and you cannot believe how many comments I get when I walk around with this shirt on with just me and Blaine's face. Like, who's going to wear a shirt with these two guys' face on it? I challenge you to buy one of these shirts, wear it around, take a picture, put it on the internet. Make sure you tag our new page. We do have a Facebook page now. It is Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. Go look at it. That's where we're posting all this stuff up. So that's two surprises, Blaine, and I am really just blowing the airwaves up right now. But number three, for the first time ever. Now, it's not the first time we had a guest. It's the first time we've planned to have a guest. But
we planned anything.
That's right. But in true Mike and Blaine fashion, what we're doing is we told him, just jump in when you want to. so he's going to jump in probably around the 30-minute mark and join us. His name is Roger Knecht, or Connect or Knecht. I always get it wrong. I apologize in advance if you're listening to this, Roger. But he runs Universal Accounting, and he has his own podcast called the Acountreprenuer's Journey. Right. So a really cool thing, really cool guy. You're going to like it. Blaine, I talked enough. What about you, buddy?
Well, I was just drinking beer while I was sitting there listening to you. So I'm going to jump in right there. Are you drinking a Coors?
That was a pre-show beer.
Okay. So here, what are you drinking for real today? Or that was for real, but what else do you got going?
Sorry, man. Sorry. I'm really off sorts, but this is going to be a great episode. I actually found a Houston beer, right? A Houston beer. It's from the Second Ward. If you don't know anything about how they label their neighborhoods down in Houston, it's kind of like New Orleans, where they name it, first, second, third, fourth ward. This is from the Second Ward down there in Houston, from Equal Parts Brewery, and it's called lager beer, right? Lager beer. But what drew me to it was, again, great art on the can, right? Just great art. It's a German Pilsner lager. So you can see some German influence in there, I believe, in kind of a geometric style. But yeah, I'm excited to hear from it. Yeah, the Coors Light was a pre-show beer. I didn't think.
Little sneak. They got a little sneak in there. That's really cool. And you know what? The graphic on my beer today kind of feels a little bit the same, which is kind of funny. Like we kind of get that, sort of, was it Art Deco? Oh, it's been a while since I studied that stuff. This is from Annex Ale House, called Force Majeure. It's New England style IPA, and Annex Ale House is in Calgary, Alberta, where I am right now. I'm actually in an Airbnb, so that's why the background looks totally different. I'm on the road, and while we're here, we're just going and testing out a whole bunch of breweries. And we were at Annex Ale House last night. Actually, it was terrific. They also have some good food there. And so I wanted to promote one of the Calgary breweries today, which I've done actually a bunch of them already, because they have some really nice, terrific breweries down here as well.
Well, hey, here's to you in 50 episodes. Here's to you.
To 50 episodes. Cheers.
So let me tell you about today's topic. It took a long time to get there, right? A long time to get to the topic. But if you know, we've been doing this, I think it's like the third or fourth time we've done a quote. And what we do is we take a quote and we kind of break it down and see how it applies to our lives and where we can fit it in, what it means. This one is about the most successful startups generally come from an idea or a person that had an itch that needed to be scratched, right? An itch that needed to be scratched. So that's what we're talking about today is how do these ideas come to light?
Yes. Yeah. And, I think it's actually the best way for an idea to come to light. You know what? A lot of investors are actually, they always ask, what's the origin story? And what they want to know a lot of times is, are you solving your own problem? And I think one of the reasons is because there's a lot of startups that struggle because they kind of find a solution and then they go looking for a problem.
Mhm.
And then they always say, like, you want to be a Tylenol, not a vitamin. Like you want to really make sure you're solving a need. And if it's something that you're just like, oh, this is bugging me, and you're solving your own problem, you really are invested in, you are solving a problem rather than, I kind of think there might be one over there. And I think I might, and it doesn't quite match.
That's pretty ironic because what they always say is that it's usually the last reason why people want to start a business is the money. It's always something else.
Yeah.
It's a cause. It's something that's close to you. It's a need for change and something in your life. It could be just freedom, right? Some people just want to, like, I need more freedom. I need more time. So they start a business, but what are they going to do next? And that's what we're talking about is, what are you going to do next? And what you're saying is, you've got a problem. You got something that you want to do. I mean, dry run, probably a good example of that, right?
Yeah.
So, and those of you who don't know, our sponsor is Dry Run. So I always try to kind of throw it in there a little bit. And Blaine runs that, and I always let him kind of talk about it. But Dry Run cash flow forecasting was a need for small businesses, and I'm sure you had that need.
Yeah, and that's like, I'm just such a textbook example of that. I went through the you remember 2008, 2009, the recession that hit us, and turned the world upside down, turned our market upside down. And I usually don't tell that much of a background, but in this case, I'll give you a little bit of a background. So we about 70% of our market were government contracts at the time. They shut those budgets down. They slammed them shut, just dead, closed for years. And so we really just looked at, like, first of all, I didn't want to lay anybody off, whether that was right or wrong. I just was determined we're not going to lay anybody off. We had just expanded. We had a big new office. We had, like, just traveling everywhere, all these things. We were trying to grow. And suddenly the world came to a grinding halt. And so then I had to figure out, first of all, what's our cash flow like? Can I make payroll? And then how do we grow this business? How do we get it back on track? And it was all done in spreadsheets, and it was painful, and it was difficult. It was difficult to explain, difficult to build, difficult to maintain. Fast forward a few years, sold that business, and I started to look at this pain and keep going back to it. Talked with a bunch of other entrepreneurs that had the same pain. And so I'm weaving in our topic too. That's why I'm going on so far or so long. But I saw the same pain with them. And then I went, there's an answer here. There's got to be a better way. This is such a fundamental problem that just hasn't been addressed the way it needs to be, which is why everybody's forced into spreadsheets. And that's why we built Dry Runs.
Well, and part of you and I's origin story is that one, right? Because again, me building a competing product called Cash Flow Tool, I'm known in the world as Cash Flow Mike, because there's such a need for either education or knowledge or tools to help people manage it. Because the last thing you want to do in the world is not be able to make payroll or stay alive in business. So very, very important mission there, I think you've got.
Yeah, and a really challenging one, which is why it hadn't really been tackled to date, and we took a novel approach to it. And that sort of bleeds into, again, to the topic here, is that number one is we're scratching an itch. In other words, this is a problem. Like, I felt the pain. Other entrepreneurs felt the pain. But then the next step was, we have a highly effective way to address it. It wasn't just not like it ends up being novel, but it has to actually serve the purpose. It has to solve the problem. It has to scratch that itch. And sometimes that can be a real challenge. You address, you find the need, but can you build it? And is the timing right? Are you building something that's, rebuilding something that's already been done and the market's saturated? Or are you building something sometimes too early and it's a challenge to get out there?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'll tell you, that's how I ended up in the hotel staffing business, right? It wasn't necessarily I can't say it was a scratch I needed to itch. It wasn't my scratch though, right?
Yeah.
It was a pain point that a friend of mine was having about being able to get enough people to work, right, at the hotel that he managed. He's like, you never seem to have a problem getting people. And I can't hire you to do our hotel work with your janitorial company, right? We can't just hire you to come make beds and also do dishwashing and landscaping, those type of things. So out of that, the idea was born. The startup idea was, wait a second, if all you need is people, and I don't like to do the work, if I can just give you people and not do the work, that's perfect for me.
Yeah.
So it was a win-win, right? Which means that, I could just concentrate on getting good quality people back to his place anytime he needed them.
Yeah.
And he could just take people and manage them like his own. Right.
Yeah.
So it was a good win-win. I mean, but it was an itch that he needed to scratch, the problem that he needed solved. What about causes? You ever known anybody that, just says, I believe in this so strongly, I just have to do something about it?
Yeah, like I think that's another really, and it was something that it was, I don't want to go back to dry run too much again, but that was something that I felt because I went and talked with a bunch of other entrepreneurs. And I guess in the end, it wasn't like I had the problem. But then I started talking with other business owners. And as I'm talking with them, you would just hear, like, it was just, there were two answers I got basically. I build models and spreadsheets and I hate it, or I don't even do it and I fly by the seat of my pants. That was the two answers I got. There was no other answer that I got. So then you start looking at, like, well, yeah, this again, like it's not just an itch I'm scratching for me. That's where it started, but I still made sure there's a market. I still went out there and went, because really, the way, like the observation you made with your friend and you're kind of scratching that itch. Well, that's really important because really his itch is more important than yours, because that validates that there's a market that's willing to pay you, unless you want to pay your own bill. It's not the best way to make a buck, right?
Well, I mean, come on. I think in our first or second episode, we talked about, hey, listen, if you're going to just leave a corporate job, a secure job, or whatever, I'm going to do something, make sure you got some cash already coming in, which means maybe you already got a contract, maybe you already got a customer, maybe you already got something going on, right? And it makes that transition a lot easier than just saying, I'm quitting my job and trying to start this thing.
Yeah. I think maybe that's something about entrepreneurs is they have a real sense of empathy, so that they can see when someone else has an issue. They can see that problem. And what they do is they identify an opportunity there, and it's putting two and two together. Like that's the challenge. It's not like it's a problem there. It's like with you, they have a problem, but I kind of have an answer here and it's ready to roll. Right. And that's a real key part of it is, you identify that market, you identify that need. You're going to say, I'm going to really help. There's an absolute definite problem. I'm not making it up. I don't have a solution. I'm trying to wedge into that. But you still have a way to deliver. You still have a way to address it. Right.
Yeah. And think about it. We're talking about just external factors that are itches.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about there's something inside of me that says, I just have to do something. I don't want to work here anymore. I don't want to do these things anymore. I want to work for me, and I won't be happy until I work for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But that's an internal motivation that maybe you don't know what you want to do next. And I think that's okay. You have to address the fact that the itch you're scratching is your own personal happiness.
Yes. I just am going off topic here for a second, but
no.
What about the guy? No, this is actually probably right on topic, but a little bit too on topic. I'm wondering how much the guy made, and if he patented the actual back scratcher to scratch his own itch. Like it's a big stick with a little claw on the end. Yeah. I'm just curious. I'm like, I wonder if anyone ever patented that, because everyone is familiar with it. So they must have sold a ton of those things.
Yeah. We have the Google machine. I mean, Joe Rogan looks shit up a lot. He's on a podcast every week.
Okay, well, you look it up live, and I won't force people to listen to me drink beer. I'll just keep talking about it.
All right. So there is a back scratcher patent. All right.
So yeah, so I wonder if somebody made like a mint off of that, and literally from scratching their own itch. That was maybe that's where the quote comes from. That could be that maybe somebody observed that whole thing, and because remember, like and this is this didn't scratch an itch. How did the guy that made the first pet rock? There was no itch there, and I think that made a big pile of money. Maybe there was an itch. I just don't know what it is.
I'm thinking that was. I thought at one point in time that was the dumbest product ever invented, and then my kids brought home this Tamagotchi thing, and I think that's even worse.
Okay, you have to fill me in on that. I don't even know what that is, but
all right. So first of all, here's the reason why I think it's worse. Right, the Tamagotchi. Somebody had to build an electronic gadget, which means you got cost involved. You got now components, raw materials. It's got a memory. It's got all these type of, it's like it's a mini computer. It's this little thing that acts like a pet, a virtual pet that you have to let go to the bathroom. You have to feed it. It whines, it cries, it keeps you up at night. Or it dies. It'll actually die and make your child feel crazy sad because they didn't take care of it. Right.
And then you have to go buy another one.
Yeah, then you have to go buy another one.
That's actually a pretty good model. It maybe built in, like as it gets older, it dies faster so that you can actually sell another one of those.
Yeah, I don't think you have to buy another. I think you reset it. But
okay.
still, I mean, just they're super crazy sadness that comes out of when they kill these things.
Yeah.
But they're really annoying when the kid's not taking care of it. And let me tell you something about my kids. They didn't want to take care of it. So,
now, on the other side, you're not letting an actual like goldfish die. So that's maybe the benefit is that it has all the benefits of trying to take care of a goldfish and learning from that without actually, killing a fish because you didn't clean the tank or whatever, or the bowl.
Yeah, probably right. But here's why I think
we're so far off here. Like we gotta bring this back on track.
Here's why the pet rock was better than the Tamagotchi. The pet rock, all you had to do was go find a rock, right? I had no cost involved. I painted a couple eyes on it and I was done, right? Did they paint eyes or did they glue them on? I can't remember.
But you kind of wonder how much cost the unit, what a unit cost on a pet rock might have been higher than your Tamagotchi or whatever it's called. Potentially, because you're getting like a batch made in a factory of like a bajillion of them, where you actually have to find the rock. So there's a lot of time. There's weight, so you can only carry so much rock. You got to paint it with paint.
Yeah, they didn't find the rock. They just had it delivered, right? I got a bunch of river rock out here in the yard that I could use that for pet rocks.
Maybe you want to resurrect that idea. Pet rock 2022 or something. Okay, we better get off the pet rock. Your people just tuning out right now, but
yeah, probably so. Okay, so the guy that made the back scratcher, I mean, the patent was in 1967, and I don't know that he made that much money on it. I just don't. I don't think he made that much money on it.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't even know how much things cost. It couldn't have cost that much, but he probably made enough. That's for sure.
Well, hopefully enough for what is a stick. Really. He invented a stick. He invented the use for a stick.
All right. So what's that drive that you have, right? I mean, because you don't want to work for anybody, right? I mean, wouldn't it be difficult for you right now to go get a job?
Oh, I can't even imagine that. And in a way, I can't even imagine someone hiring me because like, how do you, I don't know. Do you hire someone that's been kind of like a friend of mine always said, it's like, he always said, we're dogs off a leash. We're never going back. And that's the feel is like, it's freedom. How do you go back? But then how would someone hire me and think that I'm going to be a good employee when I haven't been an employee for 30 years or 20
exactly right.
Years, right?
And there's always some type of resistance to that because like he thinks he's better than me. He thinks he knows more than me. I can't control him. It's a situation.
I will Yeah, and I probably have a little bit of that in my makeup, because I know, like, when I go into a Home Depot, I pull the old Ron Swanson and someone walks up to me, and in my head I'm thinking, I know more than you. That's probably not always true, but sometimes it definitely is.
You know, I found this out, right? So I was both former military and former police, right? That's in my background.
Yeah.
Those are two hard jobs to transition out of. People tend not to want to hire you out of those two jobs. And it's worse now than it was then.
Really?
Right? Yeah. Well, and
Okay.
here's the thing. It's like it's almost like people assume, and I'm talking about hiring managers or otherwise, they assume that you need a buffer job to transition you back into the real world, because everything is different when you're a police officer, when you're when you're in the military. Everything about your life is different. You know, the way you report to work, the clothes you wear, the way you interact with your coworkers.
Yeah.
Everything is different, and the mindset, you need some adjustment time. And I'll say that from experience, to adjust from how to work with a coworker that's in the military and how you would talk to them and get along,
Yeah.
versus, or even as a police officer, how you talk to people and get along, versus, you know, being just a cubicle mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a resistance, and I think it's it's not unspoken, because I've heard people say it, like, oh, I'd rather them have like a transition period before we bring them in. They like the work ethic, they like the, you know, everything about it, but the attitude is skewed.
Interesting, because like my perception, and this is just from outside because I don't have any of that experience, but my perception is if someone applied for a job with us that was ex-military, we would be like guaranteed giving that person an interview, because my perception is the work ethic, the discipline, the ability to learn, all those things seems like really terrific. So I wouldn't have even thought of, well, how recent was it, and do they need to transition? Because I'm not familiar with that. All I know is, like, it seems like a really good opportunity to hire someone, right?
Well, let me ask you this, hypothetical. 10 years military, the guy was a we'll say military police officer, right, in the military.
Yeah.
Wants to, and he took an online course in social media marketing, wants to do that because he's not doing that in the military, right?
Yeah.
So he took an online course and he wants to be in social media marketing. Then you got a 22-year-old that went to design, that has no experience, 22 years old, but has a degree in graphic design and marketing, right? Who do you take the chance on?
Yeah, for that role, I guess in my mind, I was picturing a sales role, because that's something we can train for. So that you know, that because it is like, that seems like you have to bring some specialized knowledge. And then I would probably have to look at and say, okay, well, how much did they cover? How much did they learn? Was it a really short course, or was, and you know, this young person over here? Oh, hey, we've got.
Oh, he's in.
Yeah, I'm just about to admit our guest, so I will let you take it from here.
Yeah, right. Where is he at? All right, so what's happening right now? We're having our very first guest.
That was planned.
We
had someone planned once here and there.
That's right. So this is the first time we've had a planned guest. He's from, as you can tell on the screen right now, Universal Accounting. And he owns the podcast, or runs a podcast called the Acountreprenuer's Journey, right? He's even set up for the podcast. Look, he's got everything set up right now.
We need some logos and stuff. Well, we got him on the shirt, but we need some other logos.
Yeah. All right, so here it is. I mean, Roger, pronounce your last name again, because I always get it wrong, and
you're totally fine. Roger Knecht, like connect the dots.
I was right.
Man. I would not. That's what you said first, and I totally thought you were wrong. I was like, oh, no, man,
I was right, but I could have been wrong. Who knows? Roger, this is going to be the worst podcast you've ever been part of.
Not even close.
But let me tell you three things that are happening right now, right?
Perfect.
This is episode 50, right? We first of all, we're celebrating episode 50, and we're celebrating it by wearing our own merchandise.
Yeah,
I thought when you said 50, it was like your age or something. You're celebrating 50.
That too.
We're close. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not, but I am.
I am.
I am.
I'm
All
this
right.
I'm this close. I got a matter of months, so
All right. So
Months,
we're wearing
okay.
our-
You're 50.
I'm close enough. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're wearing our own merch. And the other thing is that this is the very first. He's all about it. He's all about it. Wrong merch, though. You
Got
need to
it.
go to mikeandblaine.com.
I get a t-shirt.
Yeah, like I want Mike's face on my chest.
Hey, you never know. Right? There's Blaine on there too. Well, he's right here.
Yeah, there's
we have beer on this one, so that's
there you go. There you
nice
go.
in there.
All right, and then the other thing is that you are the very first planned guest we've ever had.
Yes.
Very first.
I am honored. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the first time because we've had some other ones. We tried to do a live thing on this app called Wisdom.
Okay.
It's kind of a Clubhouse competitor. If you've heard of Clubhouse, it's kind of an audio thing.
Yeah, I know of Clubhouse. I've been on Clubhouse on some conversations. So yeah, I'm familiar with it.
All right, so we tried a similar format on Wisdom, and I tell you, we didn't know what we were going to get. We just let somebody talk.
Yeah, we got some good, some bad, but it worked out okay. But it was, a little odd.
It was a coin flip. So this one we're excited. So today we're talking about, some of the best startups and startup ideas come from a scratch that needed to be itched.
Okay.
And it needed to be scratched.
What I say the wrong way? Scratching.
You said it the beer way.
An itch that needed to be scratched.
Itch
You know,
needed to be scratched.
that reminds me, go to bed with a what was it? Darn it. It's go to bed with an itchy butt, wake up with a stinky finger. There you go. There you go.
Oh, there we go. You've just merged right into our podcast. It just
There it is.
it's the
It's
typical
all this
conversation.
scratch and itching stuff. I mean, it reminds me of like what is it, a scratch and sniff type of little thing, right? I want to smell vanilla. I want to smell root beer. That's what I'm doing, right? A scratch and sniff.
That's fun.
There's another one that somebody probably patented and made a pile of money off of a stinky sticker. That's just that was somebody that was, you look at that and sometimes it's just like, man, some people have made a mint. We already went through Pet Rock, but scratch and sniff is another one.
Yeah. Well, I wish I had the Pet Rock, but there you go.
Yeah. So we don't have any format. We just talk about whatever we want to talk about, but we try to keep it on the topic.
Okay, so hold on. I'm
Yeah.
assuming both Blaine and you have your beers, right?
That's right. Do you? Did you
Beers,
join?
yeah.
No. Hold on a second. Hold on. Seriously, I'll be quick.
All right.
All right. Let's
Talk about him while he's gone. No, I'll tell you what. I just met this guy, right? I met Roger. Was it last Scale in New Heights?
No, it was an accounting web.
Is it Accounting Web? Right. Accounting Web Live in San Diego.
Yeah.
I thought I kind of met you before that one but I guess not. Oh,
No, we might have, but that's the one that comes to mind.
that was the one where we actually became friends, right?
That's when I found out you were a model.
I was in a commercial. That's right. I was in a commercial. That's right.
Model. Milk
okay.
it.
This was not a story that I had heard. So Mike, the model / actor,
All right. So
you could end up in
Come on,
Hollywood.
the man's got a T-shirt with his face on it.
yeah. So all of us have a talent. Mine tends to be growing hair.
That is true. That's a bit of a low blow, but it's true.
You didn't know that? I actually was in a Hims commercial, not just a commercial. I did the infomercial. It was like 30 minutes of me and some other guys just talking, for 30 minutes about growing hair.
About growing hair, seriously.
Hold on. Does it have to be on your head though?
Well, obviously, I grow at other places as well.
I was
By the way, I got my drink. I wanted to point out you didn't let me. I got my drink.
Oh.
I mean, it was in the fridge.
That seemed like laugh.
And it does. It's the closest I could get. It was just over. I'm at work, guys.
I never stopped us. But anyway, we're creative, so we get away with it.
All right. So cheers.
All right, cheers. Hey, happy 50 and happy first.
50-50.
All right. So here's the thing. All right. So we're talking about startups, ideas. It's somebody's need, right? And the things that I talked about was like my first business. it wasn't my scratch that needed to be itched. It was a friend of mine's who actually ran a hotel and needed labor. And I'm like, oh, I can help, right? Because I had a janitorial company. I can get people all day long. I just don't know how to, make a bed or, those type of things, whatever they do in hotels. So, but then we went further. There were all these external factors, but the internal factors, one we were talking about right before you jumped on, which was there's actually an itch in you, which means how hard would it be for you to go back to work, right? Meaning go apply, be an employee for somebody else, because there's something now internal that's an itch that needs to be scratched.
So what I think you're trying to describe is that entrepreneurial dream or itch that people have that actually causes them to go out and start a business. It's that itch. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's an itch. But it forms an idea. Usually, when you have it, you've got a reason. Maybe there's a cause. Maybe there's a sense of freedom that you want. But you have to transform that itch into an idea. Into what am I going to do next? How am I going to make money with this itch?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that itch, it definitely has got to be a pretty good itch, because you're going to have to itch it for a period of time before you get anything out of it.
The 10-year overnight success.
Yes.
You're people think that it's you start a business and you'll be rolling it in a year.
Yeah.
It takes I've always heard it takes 5 years to establish a business, but it can be like, we always hear in the startup world, the 10-year overnight success. I don't know if it's always 10 years, but it takes a long time. And all of a sudden you see this company that's blown up, and it's like, you just don't see the long history that usually started with someone going, that's a problem, I'm going to tackle it. Right.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there are successes along the way, but there's a reason why you go into so many businesses and they've got a plaque on the wall that's got this dollar bill in it, because they work so hard for that first profitable dollar bill. Yep. And it comes at various points. For some people, it's instantaneous. Month one, they've got it. For some, it's 6 months. For some, it's 12 months, 18 months. It varies business to business. But the point is there's something more than the money that causes them to go through all that time, energy, and effort to actually make the sales that they're making.
Yeah, money's always solved, right?
Exactly. I don't think I know anyone that started a business just to make money, or that was a real success, where if the whole thing was focused around money, I'm not sure if they would be invested enough and be around long enough. There's always a different, that's why they always say a vision and a mission, right? Because there's more to it. There's something that just drives you, and you want to be profitable, get to that. Of course you want to get to that point, and be wildly profitable. I say wildly profitable. I think the average profit margin for a business is 7% or something like that. So wildly is, within a context there. But there's a drive to solve a problem. That's really what entrepreneurs really tend to do, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing that I think I address with nearly every one of the clients that I work with is the word passion. That's the word I choose. Mm-hmm. So we have 5 steps that we take our business clients through. And when we're working with the business owners, it always begins with what we call engage and manifest. And it's not, tell me why you're doing this because you want to make money. There's got to be something else underlying this, because when the journey is hard, what do you tap into that it gives you the energy to push through that difficulty that you're facing? So that's how I describe it.
Yeah. Hey, so that's interesting. So let's hear about you. Blaine and I, right before you jumped on, we were talking about, what was our itch? How did we get started? Those type of things. Let's hear about you.
Well, that's like a loaded question. Let me start, and you just kind of pick it apart and see what you want to know. So I started with Universal Accounting Center as a consultant. I started with them over 20 years ago, helping the president of the company with a variety of things. And the opportunity presented itself to become employed with Universal Accounting. That was in 1999. And so I started with the business then as an employee. And at that time, it was a small company, and it was more of a traditional school. That is to say that we had classrooms where people would come and with an instructor learn accounting things. And we've stayed true to the fact that we're a post-secondary school, but we've grown dramatically since then. I took on most of the roles within the company and moved around within the organization, being sales, the vice president of this, vice president of that, to the point that I think it's about 8 years ago, The president at the time, he being the second president, I'm being the third, he retired and gave me the reins. And I've been, I believe, president for about 8+ years now, and have been running the company. And we've evolved and changed. I've closed divisions of the company. I've opened divisions of the company. We're just not the same. If you went back to when I started, it was a traditional classroom environment. Today, it's entirely online. All of our trainings curriculum is all online. I have students around the world, and with all the training that we provide and offer, they're going through it basically as independent study, let's say.
Got it. All right. So here's my first pick. When you said pick it, you said 1999. It sounds foreign to me.
You already said you're 50. Come on.
No, only because when I talk to my kids, I say, well, back in 1999.
just get the Prince song out. Just have them listen to Prince, and then you're good to go.
No, but it's super interesting. All right. So you had to transition like a lot of us did to virtual online. And do you offer CPE? I mean, who's your target? I mean, who are you guys working with?
Excellent. So about a third of our students happen to be accounting professionals, degreed CPAs, just accounting professionals, particularly that own their own accounting business. They're wanting to either train themselves on new skill sets to offer new services or train their staff. So that's our first clientele. It's working with people that have established firms. The other third, coincidentally, are those who are starting their accounting businesses, starting their tax businesses, just basically in the startup phase. They're trying to acquire clients and get off the ground. But there's about a third of our students who, interestingly enough, have zero business intentions. They're clearly trying to just find a better employment opportunity, get a promotion, a pay increase. Maybe they're underemployed and they feel that with the additional skills and certifications, they can get the employment that they're wanting to. That right there is a good subset of who all of our let's call them students. But when I say students, people think 20-year-olds. The people going through my programs are 30 to 50 to 60-year-olds. So
no, I get that. So, all right. So, I mean, Blaine, I mean, wouldn't you agree? I mean, I like what he said about people trying to start their business, right? Because that's exactly what we're talking today about, what is it? So you're on ground zero of folks that are trying to start. They're getting all the background, the education, maybe even trying to become better at their job so they can start a business. What do those conversations sound like?
Oh, I love this question. So I'm going to give you an insight into the conversations I'm having that I think is different than you would expect. I am astounded how often I have a conversation with someone where it is just like you've both described it, an itch. It's an itch that's not very clear or defined. And that is to simply say, when I ask them, okay, so what are the services you're wanting to offer in this business? And they just say, I don't know, I just want to do an accounting business. Okay, how much do you want to make offering these services? How much revenue do you want to generate? I don't know. I just wanted to offer bookkeeping services. I'm so astounded that they're planning to go work with businesses and offer them budgets, forecasts, financial reports. But yet when I ask them, what's your business plan? How many clients do you need in order to generate the revenue that you want to cover your expenses and actually live the lifestyle you're accustomed to? And they're clueless. They don't know. Now, I want to be very kind here. It's not their fault. I don't want to blame them. I don't want to say that I'm disappointed in them. I am, however, I'm now shocked again and again and again how many questions I'm asking, and continually surprised that they've not even considered. And so it's oftentimes a very learning experience. Let's go back to the basics. What are you trying to earn? What are the services you're trying to offer to generate that revenue? How fast do you need to be there? Yesterday, you've got a 6-month ramp because you've got some funds set aside. How much money do you have set aside to grow your business? Invest in, say, a computer. Maybe it's do some advertising, get business cards, for heaven's sakes. But when I have that conversation with people in about a half hour to 45 minutes, I can't tell you how many epiphanies they've had, how many notes they're quickly taking of, oh my heavens, I'm going to offer bookkeeping and tax preparation. I'm going to do accounting and tax planning. I'm going to do bookkeeping and advisory services. They get to kind of check off. This is what I feel I want to do, what I would enjoy, what I feel I would do good at, what I feel people will pay me for. That's what I want to do. Okay, great. So how many, or what do those people on average pay for those services? Well, I don't know. Well, I can answer that question. So I give them that. And they're like, okay, so if I want $5,000 a month and the average bookkeeping client's $500 a month, I need 10 clients paying for bookkeeping services. Mind blown.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, it kind of shocks me because I started my first business in 1999. And it just rolled into a creative agency. And then eventually I sold that and started Dry Run, which is a software company, scratching an itch, all that kind of stuff. But I still remember in 1999, like building a spreadsheet. Like that was the first thing I did. I looked exactly what you said. I'm like, okay, how much money do I want to make? How much? And then I'm like, well, how much can I spend? And so I still remember the time a friend of mine went and started an agency and got a loan and bought all this equipment and software and spent thousands and thousands of dollars. And I looked and went, well, I'm going to admit something here. Went and found a friend here that got me a little bit of education software under the old table there and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I bought a laptop and people thought it was nuts. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to show up to I would show up to the clients, like my very first clients. I walk in and I got this real nice looking laptop and they go, this guy's dialed in. And I had a nice presentation. And what they didn't know is then I went home and I had my educational software and I did everything on the laptop. But I had this spreadsheet and I'm like, that's how much I got to make. That's how much I want to spend. And I figured all of that stuff out. And fast forward a number of years, what I think I found out is a lot of entrepreneurs weren't like me. So when I started Dry Run, it was based on all these spreadsheets I did to get through the recession and financial models and sales projections and all this stuff. And then realizing later, I was kind of weird. Like so few business owners did that. And so now we're selling to much bigger businesses than your startup business owner, probably because they actually, like they have that need, right? More than sometimes a startup. So.
Well, what you just described, I think is comfortable for an accounting professional to do, but it's surprising to me how often it's not done. Because think about it from your point of view. If you knew that you had a trajectory based on your spreadsheet that in 6 months, you'd go from one client the first month, 2 clients, one new one, 2 total, one new one the third month, 3 total, one new one the fourth month, 4 total. And you knew a break even would come at month 6. When you are on pace or ahead of schedule or behind, I've got to pick it up. I've got to do more, or I'm doing good. I'm actually meeting my projections. And as a business owner, that gives you some peace to know I can keep doing this. This is going to pay off. I'm on the trajectory.
And the weird thing is I had absolutely zero accounting. This was just, apparently I was decent with math because I built all of these projections out. I have 2 degrees, both in design. I have a master's in visual communication. So numbers, somehow I'm really good at it. Oh, I did hear just the other day that my nephew has a spreadsheet and has budget, but I'm like, that must be something innate. But I have at that time, like zero accounting background. Now I really we've been forced to learn a bunch of accounting stuff, but I do not have I don't have an accounting degree or anything, but I get it. I understand it really well. I don't know why, but I'm fortunate because I think the only reason that I made it that far was from understanding all those numbers and building those targets and reaching them.
Very good. Smart for you.
So first of all, I'm going to say 1999 must have been the year, because that's the year I started my business, 99. So 99. I mean, that must be, we should do an episode on 1999.
We should.
How it changed the world. It shifted everybody's world.
Everybody, it must be a mental thing where everybody just saw it as this time to transform. Because I still remember 1999, January 1st, like that New Year's Eve, 1999. I still remember it really well.
Well, that, and you've got Y2K. I mean, the world was going to fall apart next year. So you had to reinvent yourself.
You had to do something. Yeah. The airplanes are going to fall out of the sky. That's
right. Get ready. Do something new.
Yeah.
I've done these training seminars, a clear path to cash across the country, tens of thousands now of business owners. I am surprised, much like you guys, on how people don't address any type of financial, thought, right? Forethought about what their business is. They're like going, I'm great at landscaping. I'm just going to go out there and put my business card, my little ad, my little flyer, whatever comes in, comes in. Or if nothing comes in, I'm just going to grind it out and go door to door. But they don't put thought of, well, what happens when I go door to door? What if I get 2 clients? What if I get 5 clients? What if I get 75 clients? It's just, I'm going to go grind it out until money's coming in.
Well, and that's an applaud to the entrepreneur. There's a lot of people that honestly aren't doing anything other than working very, very hard.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said about being hungry.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Being hungry, saying, I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to let people, feel that I failed.
That's the itch.
That's the itch. Yeah, that could be. It could be, right? I mean, embarrassment could be the itch. I don't want to be, I did all these things, told people I was going to do these things. I don't want to.
Embarrassment's the stinky finger.
The result. Oh man, this is a classic show, Mike. We have to make a shirt.
I'm thinking.
Is my head going to be on a t-shirt?
We'll make it. It'll be like what's it? What's the Three Stooges?
Don't say the Three Stooges.
I was going to say the Three Stooges, but
no.
Yeah, right, Three Stooges. That would make me Larry because I'm the only one with growing up.
All right.
Throw your hair
See,
out.
Now there is an itch. If I could scratch it, if I had a way to just like, instantly flick a switch and grow a nice luscious head of hair, that would be an itch that would be I would scratch, but I know other people would love to. So
you want to talk about changing the world? It's that if you can solve that problem.
I was out at the lake with a friend of mine the other day. He is 1 year younger than me. Grew up together. I've known this guy since I was 4 years old. Is the first one I remember meeting him. Really good friend of mine. And I was so jealous because we were on the boat and we're cruising across the lake, and I look and he's got a full head of longish brown hair like I had in university, and he has this little, like about 3 lines of just tiny bit of gray. And like, even if I had hair, it would all be like basically gray. And he's got brown hair, luscious, the whole thing. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, what? How do I package that and sell it over here? Because I will make $1 billion.
What you're describing is just an older Fabio.
It wasn't quite that long, but it was really like, I'll call it the Eddie Vedder hair. That's what I had in university. That was my 90s. I had Eddie Vedder hair at the time. Right. So,
hey, every once in a while, do you catch his Canadian slipping out?
No, I don't. Until he says, "Hey."
I don't think I slipped that. I have no idea. Maybe
you're just getting there over there.
I'm
just say A through Z.
Okay,
good.
As a Canadian, I'm just giving her. Apparently, that's not a U.S. thing. That is a big Canadian thing.
No, it's a thing now. I'm making it a thing.
Just giving her. We should have a shirt.
Just giving her.
Hey, yeah. If you haven't been to mikeandblaine.com, go there, because a couple different things you can do. You can see us in YouTube form. You can listen to our podcast. You can buy this cool merch, right? This here.
Or this here.
Or that there. Or other things that are on our merch store. Or you can just buy us a beer. We're okay with that.
So always love that.
Buy us a beer. So, and believe it or not, Roger, we've had people buy us beers.
Yes, we have.
I had people buy us beer. So
4 beer.
Yeah, we've had 4. We've had 4 people. So I mean, we're not doing great in the beer category, but we're not blank, right? We're not blank. All right. So
not blank. No, we're okay.
And we are sponsored this time by Dry Run.
Yes, and we may have a surprise announcement soon of another new sponsor that has come out of the blue and loves us. So,
and you know what?
But I will talk. Go ahead, Mike. I am going to do a little plug for Dry Run, though.
All right. Well, I was going to talk about the surprise. The surprise was somebody reached out to us on our website and says, "Hey, I'd like to sponsor your show." Not somebody I know. Usually, you got to go beg your friends to do these type of things, but this is somebody that we generally didn't know. It's a great product. I went and looked at it. I was surprised, and it fits in really nicely with what we do. So I hope we can put the ink on that one.
Yeah, for sure. And so okay, but while we're still the sponsor, because they want exclusivity, so that's okay. While we're still a sponsor, Dry Run, and Mike's been kind enough to go probably past the due date for Dry Run, but I will tell you about dry run. A quick thing. I know I mentioned earlier in the podcast, but if you are helping a business understand where they're heading, where their future is with their finances, where their cash flow is, where their sales pipeline is, where are they going to be profitable? What do they want to look at into the future? Scenario modeling, cash management. Come and check us out at Dry Run. We love to help not only businesses, but CFOs, CPAs that are talking with their management teams, peer into the future and make the right decisions on where they're going. So dryrun.com, come visit us there.
Got it. Hey, Roger, we're going to let you plug your business, but we always ask at the end, what'd you learn today?
I learned itching is good.
Itching is good.
Scratching is good.
Yeah. All right. Blaine?
You caught me off guard because I thought Roger was going to talk about his business, but
I told him I was going to let him, but
No. Is that my chance? Am I supposed to say something right now?
No. Well, what I learned is that 1999 was apparently a big year for entrepreneurs. So I'm thinking that might actually be a topic at some point. That'll be one of our quotes. What was the Prince quote on 1999?
Well, here's what you need to do is go see if there's some data as to how many businesses were actually started in 99 compared to the years preceding and following. Because you got the .com bust that comes after that.
That is true. That would be yeah. But that would take research, and you probably can tell Mike and I do no prep.
And you can see I'm not going to do it for you. So there you go. There you go. So anyways, my plug, is this where I do it, Mike?
Go ahead.
You're so good. Thank you, both of you. So Universal Accounting Center, we work with accounting professionals, helping them build the premier accounting firm in their area. We offer training, certification, coaching, support, training the owners, the staff, helping them actually get paid what they're worth, offering quality accounting services. So check us out. You can go to universalaccounting.com. And as you mentioned at the beginning, I also have a podcast. It's called Building the Premier Accounting Firm. Love to have anyone come over, listen to us, subscribe. We have experts on every week addressing a variety of topics ranging from marketing, selling, tech stack, pricing, client onboarding, client retention, mental health. And so love to have everybody come over there and listen as well.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to encourage everybody to go there, because that pitch that you just gave was a clinic on how to pitch your company on a podcast, man. I'm telling you, nice job.
Well, then I need to end with my tagline. If it's about accounting, it's universal.
There you go.
Nice.
All right. That's good. All right. Hey, you have been listening to Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. I'm Mike Byland. That's Blaine Birch. And today we're joined by Roger Knecht of Universal Accounting. So Blaine, we'll see you next time. Roger.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for joining us, Roger. And the big 50. So next week, it's actually, we crossed the chasm and it's number 51. So join us next week.